Okay.
Hi everybody, my name is Robbie and I will be refuting the main claim that technology, including TV, computers, smartphones, tablets, and all that other good stuff, is having a harmful effect on children ages 2 through 12. So first I'd like to start out that my opponent's first secondary claim stated that TV and video game consumption increases health issues. This is fallacious because the evidence presented does not give the claim warrant. For evidence from the Stanford University of Medicine study, elementary students consume 20% of their daily calorie intake while watching TV, which it claims is unhealthy as a false cause, because there's no difference in calorie burning whether you're sitting at a dinner table or sitting in front of the TV while you eat. So I think this is a false correlation, and therefore it is fallacious. She goes on to say that the foods children eat during TV time are unhealthy and that they also eat more during TV time. There wasn't very much evidence to back this assumption, although I did check her sources and there is evidence there. However, I found evidence to the contrary, which stated that it was a study published by the Journal of the American Dietetic Association. Researchers Francis and Birch found that in a case study of 24 children ages 3 to 5, they actually ate 47% less while watching TV. 3 of the 24 children actually ate more, but they were outliers, and Francis Birch believed that other socioeconomic factors contributed to their greater eating amounts. So this disproves her assumption that children who eat while watching TV eat more. Francis and Birch also went on to state that it's hard to draw a connection between TV and computer chip usage and obesity because there are many socioeconomic and demographic factors which have the majority of an impact in terms of obesity. Okay, so my opponent also includes statistics produced by the Kaiser Family Foundation regarding TV and video game consumption per day by children and teens ages 2 through 18, yet fails to substantiate a claim to this evidence, so I don't think it supports her claim. She also includes that the obesity rate has tripled in the last 20 years, yet does not state an age group for the statistic. Therefore, it can be diluted by statistics from adults, and it doesn't just pertain to what she's arguing about her main claim. Despite this, there are many other factors which have been proven to have caused a rise in obesity, and this also disproves the correlation which she is trying to prove between the onset of TV and computer usage and obesity rates tripling. According to the World Health Organization, or WHO, a global shift in diet towards increased intake of energy-dense foods that are high in fat and sugars but low in vitamins, minerals, and other healthy micronutrients are mainly to blame for increasing rates of obesity, especially among children. In a study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, it was found that students have much greater access to sugary and energy-dense foods on school campuses. This prevalence of unhealthy food is a leading cause of childhood obesity, as the children are a captive audience when on campus, and so they don't have a way to get healthy foods. Okay, so this problem with people having access to healthy or wholesome foods, whole foods, is a leading factor in the unhealthy diets used. According to the CDC, in low-income areas, families can't afford these healthier foods, and so they eat these high-density, high-energy-dense foods, which lead to obesity. I can support this with a study conducted by the Harvard School of Public Health, which stated that of the world's 43 million overweight and obese preschoolers, 35 million live in developing countries, again proving this correlation between low income and obesity. The arguer later states that diabetes, asthma, high cholesterol, and blood pressure are related to the use of technology and higher TV usage. She fails to provide any evidence for this claim. And it is also incorrect, as there is no direct correlation between what we see through our eyes and the stated health conditions. These diseases are all caused by genetic, environmental, and dietary factors, not visual observation of certain things. I will concede, however, that TV and video game consumption does in fact lead to dry eyes and poor vision. I play a lot of video games and watched a lot of TV as a kid. I wear contacts now, and I have dry eyes. So at the same time, there are many steps which can be taken to mitigate these harmful effects. According to WebMD and also the National Eye Institute's tips on healthy vision, they both suggest the 20-20-20 rule, which is where every 20 minutes you look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to rest your eyes, and this can mitigate all the effects of extended TV and computer screen usage. Also, I found that there are positive effects produced by video gaming. According to Daphne Bevillier, a professor of brain and cognitive sciences at the University of Rochester, her studies found that gamers have increased skills in multitasking, attention, cognitive speed, critical thinking, and vision. Gamers perform 50% faster than their non-gamer counterparts in a series of tests ranging from tracking multiple information inputs and identifying challenges and making quick decisions. Brain researcher Jay Pratt, professor of psychology at the University of Toronto, has studied the differences between men and women in their abilities regarding spatial cognition. Studies found that after 10 hours of video game training, women were actually able to almost catch up with the men's scores in terms of spatial cognition, which this is a difference in brain development between the two genders. Men generally have greater spatial cognition than women. The second secondary claim that the use of technology is causing a negative impact on children's social interactions is also incorrect. Social media has in many ways changed the landscape in which we interact. However, I would argue that it is not a negative impact. The ease of access which social networking sites gives teens, it allows them to keep in touch with friends who moved away. For instance, I have a friend who moved to Boston, yet I can still speak to him and his family several times a week because I have Facebook. Also, Facebook offers a variety of tools such as event creation and page creation so that students can actually, or students and teens can coordinate events and actually network better that way. So, let's skip that. So according to, so back to video games. Video games also do not cause children to become violent. According to Chris Ferguson, Department Chair of Psychology and Communication at Texas A&M International University, when considering the backgrounds of those involved in mass shootings such as Newton, Connecticut, or Virginia Tech, being a video gamer is not consistent to these killers. According to Andy Walling, MD's article on AFP.org, video games, contrary to popular impressions, are not linked to aggression among children, and may even provide a safe outlet for aggression and anger. For my last secondary claim, I state that although technology may make plagiarizing easier for students, the positive impacts of technology far outweigh the consequences. Any of us in here, we can't figure out a problem in, say, accounting. We can go on YouTube, we can Google how to solve it, we can find all these sources online. We have access to so many sources to do projects and reports. Yeah, it may make it easier to plagiarize, but the benefits far outweigh the consequences. So for conclusion, I'd like to say that technologies such as TV, video games, and other entertainment devices have a minor, if any, negative impact on the social, developmental, and health aspects of children, often improving cognitive abilities, allowing access to research material, and providing social mediums for students to communicate and plan events. Thank you.
Well, you probably realized that you spent the vast majority of your time on that first point, and you're very thorough on it, but by the time you get to the second point, you're out of time, so you're kind of, everything else is coming later. So you need to be, again, very careful about your editing when you're doing these sorts of things. I didn't think that I saw quite as much response to the advocate's reasoning and evidence on these points, but you had excellent development of your counterclaims and very good evidence on those points. There were a couple of points that I thought that you did a nice job explaining. For instance, that I like the challenge on where people eat not having an effect on the caloric intake. It doesn't matter what the location is. I did think that you had a good piece of evidence that responded to how much people consume when they're actually watching television. I thought that one applied directly to the argument that the advocate was presenting. You had some generic challenges to the advocate's evidence, but I didn't really think that it was very clear what it was that you were saying when you're talking about the Kaiser data, for instance. You made some statements there, but how that affects the quality of their evidence or the way we should assess it was not very clear. And then you're back to basically citing your own evidence, which I think you did, like I said, a very thorough job in developing information on. You needed, you got 3 or 4 quotes in a row from WHO and CDC and another from CDC and the press there, and that's one of those places where maybe one of those would have been enough for the purpose of the argument there so that you could spend a little bit more time on the other issues. I did think that when you got to those other issues, you tried to get to the crux of the issue primarily because you were forced to because of the amount of time, and so it's just a matter of allocation of your resources. I think that's the biggest issue for you. All right.